Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Higher or Lower, the show brought to you by oddschecker, Sporty Index and Spreadex, as we look ahead to the weekend's football, previewing the games, looking at the spread betting markets, picking the midpoint and seeing if we think the result will end up being higher or lower. I'm your host, George Ellick, delighted to be joined by Jack Wright and the man they now call the Nap King.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Nap
hello.
King Dan Worth.
Nap King.
Worth a nickname, I would say.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Solid start.
Who naps penalty goal minutes?
Me, apparently. And
Yeah.
successfully.
What's annoying is I kind of dozed off during your reasoning last week, so I don't know what the reasoning was, but it must have been great.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of penalties in the previous matches between those two teams. The ref had given a couple. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that when we get onto the naps this time, won't we? Because 5 is probably sustainable. Is 6? Is that where it gets unsustainable?
No.
No.
No
oh,
reason.
Fine.
No
well
reason
then.
at all.
Starts again, doesn't it?
More winners
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Maybe
Toss the coin.
you'll be selling Solly March's goal minutes.
Just
Solid.
minutes.
Yeah.
just minutes played.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get into the action, and I am delighted because we are starting not only with a couple of championship games, but with my beloved Oxford United, who are live on Sky, the big time. This is what happens, Dan, when you're in the championship. You play live on Sky.
Yeah, you do.
A lot.
As does everyone else. Yeah, Oxford travelling to Watford. I will be there in the away end. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm all the emotions.
All the feels.
And you've made me... I'm quite happy that you've gone for not the supremacy market here.
I did originally.
Did you?
And I thought, you know what, I'll take the emotion away for it. For it?
Take the emotion away for it.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Well,
Total goals.
Yeah.
SpreadX. 2.75 to sell, 2.95 to buy. Watford. Crazy goals this season. Oxford, not so much, but still a few goals.
Yeah.
The line just under 3. So higher is 3 or more. Lower is 2 or fewer. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, it's an emotionless decision. Well done, George.
Thank you. This is all about Oxford, really. I can understand why you
Of course it
guys, with your spreadsheets and your data and your
Yeah.
trends.
Sorry about that. I know how much you hate all that
Yeah,
kind of
like football's played on grass, guys, right?
yeah.
stuff. Eye test.
Yeah, football's not played on spreadsheets.
Boring.
It's this is mainly about us. Where
It's all about us.
I know more than you guys about Oxford.
Yeah, you do. Fact.
We're struggling a bit at the moment. We won in midweek. We beat Hull 1-0 in a really pretty poor performance. Hull by far the better side in the first half. Couldn't finish their dinner. We scored with one of our rare forays forward. We win the game 1-0, smash and grab. The key part for Oxford is that so many key players are missing. So many key players are injured. Cameron Brannigan being probably the most important, but it's the fact that basically any player in our squad that can call themselves quick is injured, right? So the most important one is probably Siriki Dembele, who is our record signing, who's injured at the moment. Carl Edwards, who came back and looked brilliant at Luton, injured. Shemi Placheta, a player that you know very well.
Rapid.
I was saying to my brother last night that sometimes even like quite bad pace is important. Like Shemi is someone who, he's not the most polished on the ball, but he's rapid and he'll run in behind and he gives you an outlet. He's gone. Matt Phillips, not necessarily the fastest anymore, but still like physical and quick and like able to kind of be an outlet out wide. Injured. Louis Sibley, normally now plays in midfield, but can play left wing if needed. Injured.
Injuries.
Ben Nelson, centre back,
more.
injured. So we are walking wounded, and what that's meant is we've gone from playing the reverse mullet, business at the back, party at the front, to now playing wing backs. And this squad was not recruited to play with wing backs. This squad was recruited to play with 2 really defensive-minded, business at the back, full backs. And that means that, from my eyes, and what we saw against Hull is that even though the right wing back, Hideta Alves scored, and the left wing back, Greg Lee, assisted, for the most part, we were unable to get the ball up the pitch. And what it ended up being was a pretty low block, in basically what ended up being a 5-out possession. So even though Watford have got, in Tom Cleverley, a manager who likes to set them up to attack, and we've seen a lot of goals at home, and in Quadro Bar have a player that I really love, and Chekbatedze, another one who's brilliant, I think we're going to struggle to create much. And I think Watford will probably struggle to break us down consistently. And I think this has a 1-0, 1-1 written all over it. Sorry. I hope it has a 0-1 written all over it. Greg Lee at the back post. Jack, how do you see this?
That's word for word my analysis on Oxford that you had there. It's not really at all. Do you know, I find it just a really tough one to call, so I've gone a bit chicken with it, to be fair. Yeah, indeed. I looked at the the XGs on it, and both Watford and sorry to go into data, but
Sorry, mate.
yeah, Watford and Oxford are ranked very low as far as expected goals for are concerned. But the opposite, as far as expected goals conceded is concerned, they're two of the worst 5 in the league. So where's it going to go? And I just find Watford a really, really hard team to call. This week is a prime example. They scored 6 goals at Sheffield Wednesday, which we all know is a tough place to go. Yes. Really tough place to go. And they managed just about 7 shots in the midweek defeat. So one extreme to the other. So it's really, really tough on it. I just feel Oxford, no clean sheet away, but they've scored in 5 of 6 away games. Over 2.5 goals in 4 of those 6, which obviously would be a higher here. And I just feel that there's some goals in it. And I'd rather be on the side that it does unravel a little bit in how I've seen a couple of Watford games, one in the flesh and a couple on TV, than think it's going to be super tight and cagey. So not strong in any way, shape or form, but I think I'd rather be on that side of the fence than not.
Yeah.
Dan?
No, I'm exactly the same. I think...
Surprise, surprise.
Basically, I think Watford edge a win here, but I see Oxford scoring. Because they have been doing that, right?
Great.
There's only 3 games this season where they've yet to score.
How many games have you scored 1 goal in?
Yeah, but that's fine. I'm saying Watford will win 2-1.
Yeah.
So there we go.
If you can tweet something like, this isn't ever going to work, every 10 or 15 minutes, you could be 4 up by half time.
I hope you wouldn't see that. It's funny the amount of people who are like, just delete it, George. I'm like, I'm not that guy.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Integrity.
Yeah. You've got to own,
It's all part of it.
own your mistakes.
You do.
Anything more to add?
No need.
Okay. So that is Watford, Oxford. I'm saying fewer goals. I'll be there. If you see me going crazy in the away end when Oxford make it 3-0, you'll know what matters more to me. An Oxford 3 points or higher or lower. Yeah. Sheffield United face Sheffield Wednesday on Sunday.
Yeah.
But we're going to cover it now because let's do the Championship and then we'll move down to the Premier League. Huge game this. 2 teams that hate each other, frankly. Blades with Chris Wilder, a blade through and through at the helm, who will obviously be desperate to win this one. Danny Rowe, who is kind of an adopted owl, coming fresh.
Yeah, sweet, isn't it?
Coming fresh off the back of a big win against Norwich. Good times playing Norwich.
Very good time to play Norwich,
as
we'll discuss later.
Yes. Are we? Exciting. Blades Wednesday. Unsurprisingly, Sheffield United are the favs to win this one. 0.7 is the midpoint with spread X, so this is the amount of goals that the favourite is expected to beat the underdog by. So higher is a Sheffield United win, lower is a draw or Wednesday. 3, 2, 1. All in agreement. Dan Worth, EFL aficionado. Why are the Derby Day spoils going to go the way of the red side of Sheffield?
Well, I mean, Sheffield United have been pretty good this season.
They have, yeah.
No teams won more games, no teams lost fewer.
Job done.
Is that right? Yeah, that is right. And yeah, in second place, even with the deduction and currently unbeaten at home, is pretty much all I've got, to be honest. They're very good, and at home, I think they'll just edge a win here. I don't know if it'll be convincing, so I'm imagining this is only a small bit of profit, but I do think they get the win.
Great. Jack?
To the point, I think this is the strongest play by a country mile for me this week within the designated markets that we've got. I just can't see how Sheffield United don't win this. I was surprised, really, that we could get it just as a single goal win. 5 wins on the spin at home, all to nil as well. So they don't need to do a lot of work as such to get wins on the board. 1-0s and 2-0s are the order of the day. Obviously, I did get a close-up look at Sheffield Wednesday during the week, and yes, it was a good win for him, a very, very well-deserved win for him, but they didn't really have to do an awful lot to get it. And I think pretty much 23 other sides could have gone into that game and won it the way that Norwich played. And I just think, on paper, Sheffield United are miles clear of Sheffield Wednesday in all kind of shapes and forms at this moment in time. And I think they will be on the grass too. I think they win by a couple here. I think it'll be a cosy win for them. I can't see anything other than that.
Interesting. I mean, I'm not as bullish as you are, but I do think with Sheffield Wednesday this season, we've seen too many occasions of them throwing in just really poor performances. And I'm happy to kind of not draw a line through, but like they were the better team against you on every week, and they deserved the win. And Marvin Johnson, I thought, was unbelievably good. But Norwich are not performing particularly well right now, and you've got George Long, a goalkeeper, who I think made a clanger for the second goal and probably should have done better for the first goal. And he is a massive issue for you. So I'm kind of almost looking at that as being false form. Sheffield United, they are going to be so good defensively. They're a team who are very happy out of possession. I think they'll let Wednesday have the ball and they will look to hit them in transition and probably do so pretty effectively. Kiefer Moore looks like he's injured for this, which is obviously a blow, but Tyrese Campbell's doing very well. Callum O'Hare's stepping up. Gustavo Harmer is obviously brilliant. My theory is here that I think Sheffield United should be able to shut out Wednesday. If they do that, then they should have enough to get the goal to get them the win. So, I'm with you. I think Blades should win this, and I'm siding with them to do so in this market. Next up is the Premier League. Brighton hosting Manchester City. City struggling, it's fair to say, since Rodri's injury, Ballon d'Or winner, Rodri. Brighton performing very well, although albeit undone by Liverpool late on. Total goal minutes is the market here. 166.5 is the midpoint. Had a bit of fun with goal minutes last week, didn't we?
You did.
159 to sell with SpreadX, 174 to buy. 166.5. So this is the total cumulative minutes goals are scored in within the game. Higher is lots of goals and late goals. Lower is fewer goals and early goals. 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
All in agreement.
It's back on board.
I'm on George's side.
It's back on board.
Jack?
This would have been interesting if we'd have gone with the supremacy market. I don't actually know where that one sits at the moment, but that's one up for debate currently. Brighton have got an absolutely horrendous record against Man City, but this must be their best opportunity. They've won one, haven't they, in 14 attempts in the Premier League and shipped 40 goals in the process. But this is obviously a bit of a different City side at the moment. I think you always say beware the wounded animal, so it'll be interesting how they bounce back from it. It's not as if they haven't got the players to do it, especially in forward areas. And I think that's, for me, where this hire comes in, that Man City's kind of defence is the patchwork at the moment. They've still got a lot of talent in forward areas. They can still hurt a Brighton side that will come at them and go front foot as they do. And so just simply on that basis, I don't. When you're playing, I think this, you do want to have a late goal or two, as you got last week. Yes. And I think whatever the scoreline here, Brighton are going to be front foot and going for it against City, which would either mean they're going to add to their tally if they're in front, or City can potentially pick them off as well. So just looking at the goals at the Amex this season, for Brighton, the last three specifically, a 2-2 draw, a 3-2 win and a 2-2 draw, 308, 234 and 170 minutes. I think that kind of sums up the nature of Brighton currently. And so with City having issues keeping clean sheets, and they're in that position where, should Liverpool win again, they would go into the international break not only with 4 straight defeats if they were to lose this, but then facing a deficit that they wouldn't really be fancying overcoming at this stage. So yeah, for me, I just feel there's goals in it. Brighton can score. They've scored multi goals in 4 or 5 at home this season, so I think they'll be confident to go on the score sheet, and we'll see a few.
Yeah, I've often looked to take on goal minutes in City games since when we've sat around this table, basically because I think defensively they are so much better. You always associate City games as being high scoring because they score a lot of goals, but a 3-0 win isn't high scoring. It's just covering the over 2.5. But I think with Rodri out, we're seeing a massive drop off in their performance level. We're seeing teams consistently create chances against them. We saw Sporting put 4 past them last time. They'll still obviously carry a massive goal threat themselves, but as Jack says, Brighton's such a good attacking side that, and realistically, I don't see why this won't be relatively tight. Or, feasibly, if Brighton are ahead, they'll want to, either press on or City will come back into the game. So it feels well set for a high-scoring affair. I have no doubt at the end of the season, this will be 2 teams who score amongst the most goals. They'll probably be in the top 3 or 4 for total goals scored over the course of the campaign. And yet the line is not that high. Mid-160s isn't necessarily a particularly high one. So very happy to steer over here. And you also think City will be desperate. A, they'll be desperate to put right what happened in midweek. And B, Erling Haaland has missed so many sitters that, Dan, is unsustainable. He's going to put them away pretty soon.
No, I completely agree with you. I tried to find out his XG of recent times, but I know he had that one chance that was, well, obviously not one chance, but it was over one when he hit it against the bar and then missed from just outside.
Yeah. His XG was over 2 against Southampton.
Was it?
And it was over 1 and a bit last time out.
So yeah, I'm with you.
Should have gone to whoscored.com, Dan.
I should have. I should have. Yes.
Did they have you sorted?
I have done that though.
Oh.
For the last 6 matches between these two, of which there have been quite a few goals. 4-0 last time out to City. 1-1, which is not so much what we want, but then you've got a 4-1, 3-2, 5-0, 4-1. So yeah, the last 6 suggest we'll get goals here. And everything you guys have said suggests we get goals here too, which I completely agree with.
Just very briefly on Haaland, he's started to come on the radar as being very much backable at the moment in either fixed odds or in spread betting as far as his goals are concerned. He started, I noticed when the markets went out for this, he was actually odds against to score, and he was fractionally odds on to score last week, which obviously he should have done but didn't. And again, he's just now gone just fractionally odds on. But yeah, one to keep an eye on at this moment because it seems that the market's overreacted to that particular element.
Interesting.
I'm glad you think so.
Always. Always interesting. Okay, right, let's get on to Nottingham Forest hosting Newcastle, two teams who've, well, I was going to say do different starts, but Newcastle obviously fresh off a big win last time out against Arsenal. Forest obviously flying under Nuno. Talk, I'm seeing some Forest fans wondering, like, can they get Champions League qualification?
Can they?
Can they challenge for the title? Are we going to see another Leicester?
Well,
it feels kind of a season where
well, it's there, isn't it, for the taking?
Probably won't happen.
Probably not, but probably not. But we said that about Leicester until about 4 weeks to the end of the season, didn't we?
You might have done, mate. I was on at 5,000 to 1.
Oh, sorry.
That's what happens if you back every single team. Then you're on the winner.
Yeah, absolute way to make profit on that market.
It is not. That is a joke. Nottingham Forest, but check out oddschecker for all the best prices and everything else. Nottingham Forest hosting Newcastle. Total goals is the market here. Sporting Index over at 2.65, 2.85, 2.75 the midpoint. Are we going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1.
Lower.
I think it's a punishment you can go first for that.
Okay,
that
right.
was.
That's fine.
Is it?
It's there.
Okay.
Yeah. The good thing for me is I have it in writing.
I did go fast.
You did go. Well, I couldn't remember which bat I had in which hand, so I had to double check, and then I thought, well, I might as well make a meal out of it, and I did. Well, at the start of this, going after 10 games of the season, you just said one of these sides was in third, and one of these sides was in 11th. You'd probably think the other way around, and you'd think that Forest are actually having a fair, decent season being 11th. Yeah. But no, they are third, absolutely flying. But they've been superb defensively. That's what it's been built upon. And they are relying on Chris Wood's goals, which has been in sensational form. Scored in each of the last 4 games. 5 goals in total for him. That's 5 of Forest's 8 in that period of time, which I think possibly might well come into the bracket of being unsustainable. It might well do. It might well do.
Hello.
And I think Isaac is now that kind of similar scenario for Newcastle. He scored in each of the last 2 games. They've only scored 2 goals in the last 4, and obviously he's got both of them. So I think they've got 2 main people that are just scoring the goals, which would clearly be a focus to try and keep them quiet, and you're halfway towards getting a positive result. So, as I said, for me, Forest are just really, really strong defensively. They do remind me so much now. I mentioned it earlier in the season, but as it continues to go, that Nuno side that he got them up in the top 7 into Europe, they are still quite big prices. They're actually odds against to finish in the top 10, Forest. So if you do fancy a little bit of that, then that might be worth interest. I think they're about 9 to 1 to finish in the top 6. So, yeah, that's by the by. But I just think that, yeah, with Forest, they've only conceded 3 goals at home. That's the best in the league alongside Liverpool. 4 games have gone under. Only 1 gone over, and that was that recent one against West Ham, who I think are just massively underperforming at the moment. So happy to write that as off. And against the Newcastle side, for me, they're just misfiring. They just don't seem to be clicking at all at this moment in time. Great win last week, but that kind of 1-0 win is how they're going about it. So I think, again, for me, an odd goal win either way here. I'll probably sway towards a Forest win or a stalemate 1-1, something like that. Wouldn't surprise me, but that's where I'm going with this for the unders or the lower.
Yeah, I basically just think with Nuno in charge, I'm always just going to basically always just come on the lower side of these things because of the way that they set up. I know that they've scored 6 goals in the last 2 games, but that in a way to me kind of suggests it's another reason to go lower because that isn't going to be the norm realistically. Up against a Newcastle side who kept Arsenal at bay, who haven't conceded more than 2 goals in their last 5 games, even in a period where they've only won one of those games, only conceded more than 2 goals in one game this whole season. So, this feels to me a game between a Forest side who are buoyant, but will be based on a solid defensive unit, and a Newcastle side who, despite struggling for wins, are still keeping games to a pretty low margin. This is not the Newcastle that we saw under Eddie Howe initially of free-flowing attacking football. Happy to go lower. Dan?
Yeah, you guys have hit the nail on the head, really. This is 2 very good defences coming up against 2 relatively low-scoring teams. So none of it really adds up to goals, which, to be fair, is exactly why the line is relatively low here. Forest are the 2nd best defence in terms of goals conceded, and Newcastle 3rd best. So, yeah, they are right up the top. And as you guys said, Forest have been great this season, but they haven't really been free scoring, particularly at home. The only time they've scored more than once at home is against West Ham last time out, and they obviously had 10 men for the whole of the second half. So, yeah, it's slightly, it is relevant, but slightly irrelevant with 11 versus 10. And, yeah, Newcastle haven't really lit up yet this season. They've scored 10 and conceded 10. So, yeah, I think I'm with you with the score predictions. 1-0 either side or 1-1 feels about right.
Although Chris Wood did get a hat-trick against Newcastle last season, so maybe it is sustainable for a little bit longer.
Chrissy Wood.
He would.
On to the second biggest game on the card, Chelsea versus Arsenal. Chelsea at home for this one. Arsenal off the back of a Champions League defeat, albeit they played pretty well. I haven't seen the whole game back. Did anyone watch it?
I did not.
What did you watch?
Can't tell you.
Bake Off.
Bake Off, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Actually?
No, I didn't. No.
MasterChef?
No.
What did you watch?
I can't remember.
All right.
What did I watch?
I was about to get worried there.
Yeah. What was the Championship game on last night?
There was a few. You can watch all of them now.
I know you can. Yeah. Which one was it?
Luton.
I reckon you watched Sunderland Preston, hoping for goals.
I did.
0-0.
I did. That's true. That's why I forgot about it.
Jack and I shared our bets on WhatsApp last night together, and between us we didn't do too well. Chelsea, Arsenal, the supremacy market is what we're looking at here. Arsenal just about favourites despite being away from home. Against Chelsea, 0.15 is the midpoint to 0.05. Sell to sell with Sporting Index, 0.25 to buy. So higher is an Arsenal win, lower Chelsea or draw. 3, 2, 1.
I mean, this is...
I'm trying to work out. I reckon you've always gone higher in supremacy markets. Just back the fav.
Yeah, maybe, actually. Yeah. I feel like my tact has changed this season over last season now that we're looking more at the profit side of things rather than just yes
double
or
chance.
No. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I'm not bullish on this at all. This is super hard to call. I think Arsenal are going through a bit of a rough patch at the moment, and Arteta will be desperate to sort of stabilise here and get a result. Obviously, that's no good for me if they do want to settle for a draw because that will fool your side. But Arsenal's record against Chelsea is very strong, and I already know that you guys are going to say, well, you can't really look at too much historical data with Chelsea because they change every week, right? They're like the chameleons. They've got a new boss or a new formation or whatever. Like, it's tough to look at, but it is really that strong. Arsenal on 5-0 against them when these sides last met, and they have 5 wins and 1 draw in the last 6 between the two sides. Jack's going to tear me apart shortly. I can already see it. Also, Chelsea have to play tonight. Arsenal have done their midweek fixture, so they have a little bit extra time to repair and go again. So, yeah, I mean, Chelsea do also have the ability to rotate, which kind of makes that a moot point. But I'm going with Arsenal here. You guys are going to tell me why I'm wrong, and I'm going to regret it. But I've done it now, so there we go.
I'm just not sure Arsenal are particularly good right now. Like, I know they played all right midweek, but I think their performances are fairly consistently concerning. Like, they're winless in their last 3. They are just, I think, really lacking or missing Martin Odegaard, who's clearly back on the grass, but I can't imagine he's going to be anywhere near fit enough to play any significant role in this. And Chelsea are a decent side. Like, Chelsea at home have been consistently good. You know, they may not be quite as dominant as they used to be at home, but even during bad periods, they've still been a really strong home side. And even in the 2-0 defeat against City, the only game they've lost at home this season, they put in a pretty good display that day. So I just think Chelsea are being fairly consistently missed by the market right now, up against a pretty vulnerable Arsenal team who, the wheels are kind of falling off. I think Arsenal fans expected them to definitely be in with a chance of winning the title come the business end of the season. But if they don't sort out their performances fairly soon, they're going to be out of it, especially with Liverpool putting up a much better start than I think most people anticipated. So, yeah, I think Chelsea, with the draw on side here, I'm going to go as far as saying a no-brainer.
Oh, that is confident.
Jack?
Goodness.
Yeah, much the same reasons, really. I think
Because
Arsenal,
I don't have a brain. Yeah.
I think Arsenal have been pretty turgid over the last few weeks. Look, the injuries and suspensions have really bit hard for them. Declan Rice was out, wasn't he? And I think Chelsea are very good, simple as that. So when you've got very good against a struggling side, to get both results, the draw and the win on side is a massive bonus. So I take that, and I think that the European thing, Arsenal went as full strength as they could, and had to fight really, really hard. As you say, they probably deserved something out of that game. Looking back at the stats and looking at brief highlights, it seemed that they really had to push. They would have expended a lot of energy. So travelling to Italy on a Wednesday, coming back, obviously all that in play. Chelsea are at home. They will massively rotate. I don't think any of the starting 11 tonight, as the time of recording, will be playing on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And of course, they're at home tonight as well, so there's no even travel to worry about. It's as if they've got the league side would have been able to have a full week's prep to go, right, we've got Arsenal this weekend, this is what we're going to do. So I think all that works well for Chelsea. And simple as that, really. I just think they'll have enough to get a positive result of some description out of the game, which probably Arsenal will be happy to get a draw and move on to the international break and get a few people back.
Yeah, absolutely. It is nap time. Let's go straight to the king.
Napster.
Oh, God.
Oh,
such a bit emotional. I can't even breathe.
That's sick.
You said something nice to me, and I
Probably pausing while you had your new nap theme team.
Yeah. Right, this week I'm going Spurs versus Ipswich. I wanted to go in the goals market.
But
No, I'm going in the goals market.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to just work out which one I wanted to go for, and I've landed on goal rush.
nice.
So buy of
Always
goal
fun.
rush, 49 midpoint.
Yeah.
So that means that I'm looking for 4 or more goals here, which...
What is goal rush?
Good question. George?
Goal rush is the cumulative. I don't even have to look at this. You get points for how many goals are scored in the game.
Yeah,
So 1 goal would equate to 10 points, 2 goals to 20 points, 3 goals to 33 points, 4 goals to 50 points, 5 goals 75 points,
70
points, 6 goals 100, 6 plus 100.
Yeah, mate, I'm impressed, considering I've got it written down here and I couldn't say it. To do it off the top of your head.
I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, very good. I mean, the first reason is I just think there's going to be loads of goals. Done. Only Wolves have conceded more goals than Ipswich total, and no team has conceded more on the road than Ipswich this season. Spurs are the league's top scorers with 22, and they've scored quite a lot at home. 15 goals at home already this season. Spurs games at home as well. There's been at least 4 goals in all bar one of them. The one was the 1-0 defeat to Arsenal, so one of the harder games, which I'd argue Ipswich is potentially not one of them. Plus, they do also concede a little bit, Tottenham. They've conceded in 4 out of the 5 at home as well. So I think lots of goals here, and only needing 4 to get a very small win. I do think this has the potential to completely blow up, like we have seen Ipswich games do on occasion already this season. So if we can get the 6 plus, that would be a lovely bit of profit. So that's what I'm hoping. I'll take 4, looking for 6.
Cool. Jack?
Back to the Championship for me.
Yes.
Up to the Championship for me.
Yeah.
And it's Norwich City versus Bristol City.
Oh, what a game.
What a game. You're right in saying
Liam
that
Manning back home.
Yes, he is. Yeah, so they performed well last season there. But my market here is the time of the second Bristol City goal. And I'm going lower than 79 minutes, which is the midpoint. So if they only score 1 goal or don't score at all, then that market settles at 90. So the maximum loss here you tend to know my markets I like to do are quite low risk but high reward. And I'm going for, obviously here the midpoint is a maximum loss of 11 times your stake, but you can go fairly high here if they get a couple of early ones. And much like you talked about Oxford, I think a few sides are in this boat at the moment. Norwich are down to the bare bones, and they're flogging the players that really are fit. And I think that's the struggle. When you look at the likes of Jose Cordoba, his performance levels have dipped a little bit. He's come into a new country, a new league, and it's Saturday, Tuesday, and he's starting to really think, what the hell is this all about? And a couple of others as well, players that haven't played an awful lot of game time are suddenly playing 180 minutes every week. And the injury crisis is large. McLean's out suspended still, massive in the middle as far as the conduit from defence to midfield is concerned. Nunez, the creative spark in the middle, missing, injured. Sargent, of course, up top, the real link-up and play between him and Sainz, and obviously Sainz' goals, and he'll suffer for a little bit from not having him there. But the biggest miss, of course, and you already mentioned him, sorry to go in again on George Long, but Brian Gunn. Brian Gunn's out, he's not playing either, nor is his son Angus.
Yeah.
And that's a huge, huge loss. And I've got George Long down as a walk-in minus 1.5 goal handicap, to be fair.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Poor bloke.
I know, I feel bad, but there it is.
He's terrible.
Yeah, so Norwich really haven't got any scope to freshen up either from where they're at this moment in time. So I just feel that Bristol City will go there pretty confident. Late goal conceded against Sheffield United, but up to that fairly decent run of form. And I just feel that Norwich are so ready for the break. They need a break just to kind of recharge a little bit. The recent games for goals as well swung it for me. Obviously, having seen Norwich's recent games, I know how they've been playing, I know how they're struggling, and they were woeful on Tuesday against Wednesday. And I think a similar outcome, despite not being beaten at Carrow Road in a year, I think this might be the time when that run ends. But the last 4 games for Norwich, they've conceded multiple goals in all of them, and early in all bar one. Sheffield Wednesday scored in the 12th and 34th minute, so it's obviously the second goal that is key for this. Cardiff were 2 late goals, 89 and 90. Middlesbrough, the last home game was 13 and 40. They considered another one in half-time as well. And Preston was 6 and 12. And that's worked out with the fact that Bristol City have been scoring pretty early themselves. Their last 3 away games, they've scored 6 and 51, 50 and 52, and 27 and 45. In fact, there are only 2 that they've missed in the last 5 games have opened at home, and they were against Leeds and Sheffield United, who are 2 of the best defences in the league, which is something that Norwich City are not. So, going lower, sell in the second Bristol City goal at 79. So
I've chosen a similar market to you. I'm selling the third Leeds goal at 77.5. Leeds at home to QPR. QPR really struggling under Martí Cifuentes at the moment. They conceded 4 against Borough last time out. Leeds scored 3 at home to similarly weak opposition at home last time they were seen at Ellen Road against Argyle. They are just totally dominant at home. They don't let the opposition basically create any opportunities. They suffocate them. They control the game in the opposition's half, and they create loads of opportunities too. I think Leeds will win this really comfortably, and I think they will tickle QPR's tummies in doing so. Under Daniel Farke, they're a team who don't really stop. Daniel Farke came out after the game against Argyle, and he was asked what he thought of the performance, and he was like, I'm just annoyed we didn't score more goals. Like, we were 3-0 up, why didn't we get a 4th, 5th and a 6th? That kind of mentality is perfect for this market. So I think Leeds will win this comfortably. I haven't seen anything from QPR recently to suggest that they have the defensive capabilities that we saw at the back end of last season, and this seems like a good way to get with Leeds. So yeah, with SpreadX, selling third Leeds goal at 77.5, hoping they can rack them up early.
Yes. Lots of early goals this weekend then?
Please, that would be good. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this week's episode of Higher or Lower. Make sure if you haven't got a SpreadX or Sporting Index account, you can click on the link in the show description, and there's a new customer offer there. T's and C's do apply, and do remember that losses can exceed your initial deposit when it comes to spread betting. Check out oddschecker for all your fixed odds betting needs. WhoScored.com have you covered when it comes to the stats. The Nap King has you covered when it comes to naps. This is Jack. And we will be back. No, we won't.
We won't be back next week, unfortunately.
No show, international break. When are we going to do an international special?
Yeah, I mean, there's already that market, England market podcast is already covered by 3 very capable podcasters.
England pod. I didn't say it. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks' time. Enjoy the football, and please do ensure that you're gambling responsibly.